Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go! All right, you know what's good for a talk show? Microphones. They're important. And we were not prepared.
Good to have them. We were not prepared.
Listen,
we were involved with some other stuff, and all of a sudden it's like, oh,
the countdown's on, and,
yeah.
and we're just not paying attention.
Goodness, yeah.
Well, you know, it's funny because that's the type of day that has been in college sports, in pro sports, is particularly college sports, and it's been hectic. It's been dysfunctional. So what better way to start today's show than hectic and dysfunctional?
There we go.
We're just on brand. No big deal. We're on brand today. And that is what we have for you. Obviously, it's Wednesday, and Heather Williams is set to join us. We're not sure exactly what time she's going to hop in, but when she does, we'll get to her. That's how it works. And we also have scheduled to join us at 3 o'clock, C.L. Brown of the Courier Journal
in Louisville,
and formerly of the Lexington Herald Leader. No,
this is the second time at Louisville.
Oh, okay.
No, he was over in North Carolina in between.
Gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought he was at Lexington before, but that's right. But we'll talk a little ACC. It's ACC preview day, and maybe one day we'll have CL on to talk about what he, is born to talk about, and that's hoops. But so far it's been horse racing and football. So
he's
he's
a man.
well-rounded,
He's
but-
a man of many talents. So yeah.
It's like, man, maybe one day we'll get to your wheelhouse. But
Well, actually, right now, I'm not sure how much people in Louisville want to talk about basketball anyway. So
exactly. And we also have scheduled to join us. Now, this is as scheduled as can be, and that is Randy Peterson of the Des Moines Register. They've got an absolute bombshell happening right now. News is breaking all day long.
So we're hoping.
Yeah. One, we're hoping to have him. And two, if we get him, it's going to be a fantastic
It really is. It's going to be a high risk, high reward.
It will, in fact.
If we get him, it's going to be a segment you're not going to want to miss.
You're not going to want to miss it. No, absolutely not. And of course, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, which clearly we've got a couple
from the get.
A couple really great stories in Wild and Wacky. So I'm excited to get to those as well. So again, a lot going on today. It's a crazy, crazy day, but we're here. We're glad you are. We'll be here until 4 o'clock. So let's get to yesterday's results and today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
Major League Baseball action from Tuesday. The Braves evened their series against the visiting Angels with a 5-1 victory. The Phillies defeated the Marlins 3-1. It was the Brewers 6, the Nats 4. Cubs 20, Reds 9. And the Astros, behind a no-hitter from Framber Valdez, blanked the Guardians 2-0. In minor league baseball action, Sounds opened their series at First Horizon Park against the Durham Bulls with a 6-4 victory.
6-run sixth.
Oh, there you go.
Gotta love that.
0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 6, 0, 0, X.
X. Didn't even know it. That's it.
That's wild.
Just the X. Didn't need it. WNBA action last night. Connecticut downs Minnesota, ends their winning streak. 79-69. It was Fever with a 1-point victory over Phoenix. Las Vegas takes care of Atlanta pretty easily, 93-72, and the New York Liberty with a 76-69 win over Los Angeles. Women's World Cup play, it was Sweden 2, Argentina 0. South Africa edges Italy 3-2. France doubles up Panama 6-3, and Jamaica advances with a draw 0-0 with Brazil. I knew it was coming. I did not do it on purpose. When I said with, I was like, crap. But it was not on purpose, I swear.
The American Legion Southeast Regional Tournament over in Asheboro, South Carolina at 6:30 today. Our time, 7:30 in North Carolina. Columbia Post 19 takes on the host, Randolph County Post 45. Major League Baseball action today already in the books. The Braves with a 12-5 win over the Angels. 12:05 start for Milwaukee and the Nats, so it's 2-1 Milwaukee in the ninth. Oh, so that one's about final as well. Guardians and the Astros continue their series, tied at 2-2. That was a 1:10 start. Tied 2-2 in the third. Phillies and Marlins at 5:40. Twins and Cardinals at 6:45. Reds and Cubs at 7:05. And Durham and the Sounds at 6:35. And you can see that game if you so desire.
There you go.
And I might desire, since the Braves have already played.
What else are you going to do?
Exactly.
Nationally televised. Let's watch it. WNBA action tonight at 9 o'clock. Matter of fact, when the Sounds are done, turn on WNBA. Dallas is at Seattle on CBS Sports Network, and Women's World Cup. You're probably not going to be up for this one. South Korea, Germany on Fox at 5 a.m. Also at 5, it's Colombia and Morocco at 5 on FS.
You know that there are those early risers who.
Yeah, you might actually get up for this one. You don't have to be up for, like some of those that started at 3 in the morning. Yeah. You got to stay up. For this one, you can get up.
There you go.
So yeah, get up. It's game day. And that's gonna do it for the rundown. All right, so top story is brought to you by our friends at Piggly Wiggly.
The big pig.
Don't forget to go to today, starting today.
Oh yeah,
is the
truckload,
the big truckload meat sale.
Oh yeah,
at Piggly Wiggly. So make sure to go check that out.
Might go grab a couple of ribeyes and throw them straight on the grill when I get to the house.
You might just grab a whole ribeye and slice it up, because I bet you it's going to be really well priced. You might be able to get you a whole ribeye, get 8 or 10 steaks for $35-40. That's a good deal. I did that not too long ago, and I mean, we ate steak once every 3 days.
Well, it never gets old.
Well, you can get a steak, you get that whole ribeye, right? You cut that up, and then you get a bag of baking potatoes. That's $45, and you've got 5 meals at least.
And here's the deal. Jody's going out of town Saturday
So you'll
for
have
about 10 days.
10 meals.
Yeah. I just go home every night and throw a steak on the grill.
Well, and here's, I don't know if you've got an air fryer, but if you don't, you should. Cut it up into squares, throw it in the air fryer at 400 for about 10 minutes, and it's perfect. Medium rare, and you've got steak tips.
See, that's my thing. I've got an air fryer, but I'm not really, really well versed on how to use it. Once you figure it out, it is. Oh, it's a game changer.
It's a game changer, and it took us a little while to figure it out.
Especially with
bacon.
fried stuff.
Bacon is good in it.
I've not done bacon in it yet, but
I can't do the fried stuff. It doesn't make sense to me.
No. We went to Papado's Sunday and couldn't finish it. So
it's always a great way to reheat them. Reheating fried stuff,
that's what I'm talking
is
about.
the way to go. There's no better way to do it.
Yeah, no, not even close.
I mean, that is the only way that I'll reheat anything fried.
Exactly.
So
anyway, top story.
Oh yeah, sorry, we had top story today. All right, so listen, we've been talking about conference realignment and speculation. Well, the speculation has hit the speculation fan today. Florida State board chair goes on warchant.com's podcast and says the grant of rights with the ACC is the least of our worries.
We got lawyers.
Well, here's the thing. Apparently, they allegedly say they were misled by the ACC and the grant of rights on how much money they would actually be getting from this thing.
They were misled by the grant of rights?
Did
they read it?
Apparently, there were some incentives in there that they were told would be in there, and they ended up not being in there, and all this other.
Okay, so again,
I don't know. I'm just saying. Apparently, they say they were misled, and
bamboozled,
with this,
led astray, run amok. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. No.
I mean, it's so apparently right now, according to Brandon Marcello of 24/7 Sports, Florida State's Board of Trustees are meeting at this very moment. Conference membership is the topic of discussion.
Oof.
And here's the reason. As you sent me a tweet earlier, Dennis Dodd reporting from CBS and others right now that the Big Ten is ready to move. They're ready to move on Oregon, Washington, potentially Stanford and Cal. So if Florida State and Clemson want to get out of the ACC, they got to do it right this minute.
Wow. So if the Big Ten is going Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, then the SEC is going Florida State, Louisville, North Carolina. Who? Clemson?
I can tell you who they should go get.
Okay.
I'm not saying who they will.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina, and you're going to love this, and Duke. Because they're not going anywhere without each other.
You think North Carolina and Duke, not North Carolina and North Carolina State?
North Carolina and Duke are the pair.
Really?
North Carolina State can kick rocks as far as the Tar Heels are concerned.
Huh.
And then
what do you base that on?
That's based on North Carolina. So what North Carolina is, we're not doing anything without Duke.
Huh. I never would have, and I guess I've just not paid that much attention to it. And it'll be interesting because we can ask CL about that when we have him on later. Because, like I said,
this is ACC. Yeah, this is going to be. We're supposed to be talking about football. We may not talk about anything but conference realignment in this situation, and I hate that because we definitely want to talk ACC football.
Well, this is what's going on.
But this is the topic. On top,
you know who would love Duke?
Vanderbilt. But guess who else you had? Go north. Virginia, brand new state, Virginia Tech. Now you've got 3 academic schools. And the SEC has all of a sudden become, a potential, not academia conference, but not to the level of the Pac-12 and the Big Ten.
But certainly.
But now you feel better about your situation.
That's interesting. So then Clemson and Florida State are out there.
Clemson and Florida State are out
Big
there.
12?
Well, Clemson and Florida State want to go to the Big Ten, from my understanding. My understanding is that the Big Ten with Oregon, Washington, Clemson, Florida State. Stanford and Cal are the backup plan if Florida State and Clemson can't get in or can't get out of the grant of rights.
Ooh.
And at that point, Stanford, Cal, Arizona State, Washington State, Oregon State.
Big 12?
I don't think so. I think they have to go to the Mountain West or the Double Coast Conference with Wake Forest, Boston College, Miami. Miami's in this, by the way. What happens to Miami? Miami could be an independent. I think Miami could survive as a football independent and go Big East in basketball. Miami is probably one of the only football schools that could do it, but I think they could.
Yeah.
And UConn's just going, what about us? We were in this discussion the whole time, and now
Until they weren't.
You kind of got left. Unless the Big 12 decides to expand further, if they don't get Utah and Arizona State, because they need somebody in the East for West Virginia and Cincinnati, and obviously UConn, Boston College, one of those areas makes sense. But you've got Syracuse, Boston College, you've got Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, Miami, all the academia schools. It makes sense for Stanford and Cal. I'm just saying.
That's a lot, man.
The SEC is going to be forced into expansion.
And I think you have to be careful when you force the SEC into something. Sort of like Nick Saban.
It's not whining, it's a warning.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do this, but you ain't gonna like it.
Are you sure that's how you want to do? You want to play it this way? That's fine. But are you sure that's how you want to play it?
Because we can do that.
And I think the Big Ten is probably. I think the Big Ten feels like it needs a splash. Stanford, Cal, Washington, Oregon.
Oh, the
does
Big
not
Ten
make that
definitely
splash.
feels like they need a splash. I mean, just because. I mean, the Big Ten doesn't have anything that competes with it. Just means more.
No, outside of Ohio State. Ohio State is the only institution they have that completes that mantra, because for them it does.
Mm-hmm.
It does. Football means more to them than anybody else, even Michigan, I think, in the Big Ten.
Yeah, well,
Michigan's close.
Football probably means more in the Big Ten than anything else, and Ohio State football probably means more than anything. But yeah,
they're the only institution with the Ohio State. They're the only institution that even comes close to the "it just means more" mantra. And if they were able to grab Clemson and Florida State, it puts them in the South, for one. It opens up Florida and South Carolina into Big Ten country. It obviously opens the eyeballs.
And with Clemson's proximity to Atlanta,
it makes sense. I mean, it opens those eyeballs to the Big Ten. I'm certainly going to watch, I'd probably watch Clemson and Michigan play.
I'd watch Ohio State, Florida State.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? So that's kind of where we sit right now. We're in wait and see mode, but the rumor.
But we may not have to wait very long.
We may not have to, by the time CL Brown comes on, he may be in the middle of writing a realignment story.
Well, I hope not, because if he is, he ain't coming on here.
Yeah. I mean, It is absolutely nuts how quickly this has kind of come about.
This is 2 years ago. That's the way Texas, Oklahoma just came up out of nowhere. At least we got a little heads up on this one.
We've said all along that the grant of rights seems to be ironclad. It appears that may not be the case after all.
Mm-hmm.
That's your top story. Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill, truckload meat sale.
Go get you some.
Go get you some. We'll come right back with Heather Williams talking a little NASCAR on the other side of this break on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton here with you on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. What a wild and wacky Wednesday it has been to this point, and we are excited to have you guys with us and excited to have our next guest and on time. She must have gotten in the car and drove really fast.
Well, the coach was very cooperative.
What you're supposed to do.
The coach was very cooperative.
We appreciate cooperative coaches more than anything.
Yes.
Where's the echo
For sure.
coming from?
Hang on just 1 second. I think I may know the answer to that.
Are you?
I'm on the Bluetooth
Oh, yep.
because I'm trying to keep the air.
Air is good.
Does that help?
That's
Yes,
it.
there we
Does that
go.
help?
There we go.
Nailed it.
Oh,
All right. Sorry about that.
It's all good. You're perfect. And that did, and as a matter of fact, clear it up. So let's talk about Richmond, because whatever we say in this segment will be more entertaining. Sorry.
Well, I mean, they never with the track. We talked about this last year. They did have a Monday and Tuesday to work on the short track package, and they said they were very pleased with the performance of the cars with the new package. So hopefully by the time we start hitting Bristol, Martinsville, Phoenix in the playoffs, these troubles with the short track may be at least improved. Probably not completely cured, but maybe improved just a little bit.
Well, it can't be much worse. So anything is better at this point. And, you know, it was kind of a weird race because, you know, you had a lot of different leaders, but everybody seemed to lead 80 laps. Like everybody that led a lap led 80.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange like that, but I mean, sometimes it happens. I mean, but part of that is just because, you know, especially on the short track, it's really hard to pass. And once you get up there, you know, people have to work to get around you. So it didn't matter if you had a great car or an average car. Once you were up there, you were going to be able to hang out there for a little bit anyway. But yeah, I mean, I hate to just dump on the short tracks because, you know, I live next to a short track and I love my short track, but, you know, it's not the track's fault. It's the next gen's fault. So, you know, hopefully they'll get that figured out.
How do you address that?
How do you address that? I
Yeah.
mean, they've done some things to change the spoiler on the car and the front splitter, and they've done different tire compounds. They've thrown a bunch out of it, especially at this test they had the last couple of days. So they're hoping, they think that they have now hit on a combination that will at least improve the ability to pass and improve the racing at these tracks. What's really crazy about it is that, you know, the conversation we're having now about Richmond used to be the conversation that we had about Charlotte or Kansas. Now this new car is fantastic at Charlotte or Kansas or Nashville, but it's terrible on the short track. So it's just finding a car with the balance so that the racing is at least good on all the tracks. I think I said this last week. Every track does not have to be a Grand Slam. Every track does not have to be a Pocono or what we saw at Kansas this year. But if we can get good solid doubles every week and every once in a while get a home run, I think that's what they're looking for.
Well, RFK hit a home run. Chris Buescher with a big win, but Brad Keselowski also, like I said, one of those people who led 80 plus laps. So big day for RFK.
Yeah, and they've been building towards that. I mean, they have slowly been building towards that. Both those cars were solidly in the playoffs even before Buescher won. They've been maybe the most consistent Ford team of any of the teams that carry the blue ovals. And, you know, Brad has really just done a good job. I mean, Chris, I know nobody thought that he was going to be able to do this quickly. Roush Fenway was in a bad way when he moved over there, and very quickly he's been able to make them a contender, both by upping the talent of the driver pool by driving himself because he's one of the more talented drivers, but also just his feedback to bring Chris Buescher with him. Chris has always been a really good driver of underperforming cars, and now that Chris has really good cars, he's shown that he can run up there and run up front. He won Bristol in the playoffs last year, and that was really like the turning point for this organization. And so, you know, Jack and his race team used to be what Hendrick is these days. There was a year where all 5 of his teams made the playoffs. Half the field was Roush Fenway cars, or Roush Racing at the time. And it was really sad to see the downfall of that organization. And so it's very cool to see them back competing for wins. They're probably both going to make the playoffs. And to see Jack in the garage area smiling and it kind of being back to the old Roush, it's really great. And a lot of the credit goes to Brad Keselowski.
Bubba Wallace led 80
80
laps and was leading midway, but obviously Richmond, which being a short track is not always indicative of a lot of green flag racing, but there was a lot of green flag racing. And once again, his pit crew does him in. And not just, and then teammate Tyler Reddick makes a boneheaded mistake and costs himself a shot at a win. So outside of that, though, 2311 had a pretty good day.
They did. And, Bubba's still a very young man. So, I mean, this is like 80 years down the road, but I swear on his team's tombstone, it's going to say his pit crew let him down. It is just, it's crazy the amount of times he's been up front and they've made a mistake. And look, they actually corrected a lot of the mistakes they had last year. So that's a little harsh, but I mean, it does seem to be something that happens to him more than it does to other drivers, which is kind of unfortunate, but also kind of the growing pains of last year leasing pit crews and this year making the transition, having their own guys. It's work to get and find the right combination. So, that organization is so close to just busting out, especially Bubba. He had kind of a rough stretch there where they were on the road courses and the street courses, because admittedly that is not his strength, but he has been on the verge of a win for a while. And he's got himself, assuming we don't get 2 new winners in the last 4 races, he's got himself solidly into the playoffs. I would say he's just about to the point where it would take something pretty dramatic for him not to get in on points. But there are 4 races left, and that you can get 2 winners. So,
I mean, as long as those winners aren't Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick.
Well, if they are those 2, that's perfect, because they're
exactly. That's right. What I'm saying. But those are the 2 people who can win.
Right. But we are going to a string of 2 road courses in these final 3 races too. And there are guys sitting right there on the other side of Bubba that
she's talking about some of the other drivers, like I think AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell is actually in that last spot, but Ty Gibbs is also one of the drivers racing for that 16th spot as well. And there are 4 races left. Sunday's Firekeepers Casino 400 at Michigan should be fun. And Kevin Harvick was the last person to win there. So that's good, right?
Right. Yeah. And again, as long as you don't have any new winners here over the next bit.
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, I mean, again, Harvick and Keselowski are allowed to win because they're already ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2, they're good. We don't care if they win. But yes, so an interesting weekend in Richmond will lead us into, like I said, the Firekeepers Casino. Yeah, that's a Firekeepers. I like it. 400 event. And again, Kevin Harvick, the last guy to win there. So we'll see how that shapes up. Not a lot of news in NASCAR this week, Mo. Corey LaJoie, after his big win, like last week, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, not last. After
at Pocono?
No, that was where he and Ryan Preece got into it.
Oh, okay.
But they signed a multi-year extension with Spire Motorsports, which is huge for them. But yeah, there you go. I'm excited to see what happens with this short track package. It's almost like I wish they'd just use the old cars. It's like, can we just go back to the old cars just for short tracks and be done with it? So anyway, hey,
why would you not?
It just makes sense. Just go back to the old cars. I mean, it seems like an easy fix, at least until you get the other one fixed.
Yeah.
Who am I and what do I know, Mo? So, before Heather's back. Oh. There she is. Heather, why can't they go back to the old car?
For the short track. She was bad.
Oh,
Can you
her
guys
phone-
hear me now?
We can.
Okay, well that's good. My phone just overheated. It decided it had enough.
And, I was just having that conversation with somebody else about, well, I guess it was Ben Arthur that was talking about having to be careful with his
Outside.
phone out at camp and that kind of thing. But yeah, Heather, what Chris was asking you was, why can't we just go back to the old cars on the short tracks?
Mainly because the teams don't have the inventory anymore. Most of those cars have been sold for parts or transitioned into Xfinity Series cars or show cars or what have you, but they don't really
That's their
exist
fault.
anymore. So they would have to build brand new cars. Plus, there's a lot of I know there's been a lot of knock on the next gen car for the way that it absorbs hits when it goes into a wall or whatever, but there have been a whole lot of other safety innovations that have been added to this next gen car that I don't think they want to take a step backwards in safety and go back to the Gen 6 car. So yeah, I mean it's a combination of things, but I'm hopeful. I'll be interested to see how when they get to Bristol how the cars perform, because they seem to be really excited about the way the test went Monday and Tuesday in Richmond.
Well, look, I'm glad. Whatever it takes to get there. Just whatever it takes to get there, because it's becoming, and this is exactly what you said. Those 1.5-mile tracks that we used to say, "Gosh, this is so boring. Nobody wants to watch this. We need fewer of those," so we got rid of them. And now the 1.5 mile is the best thing you can have for these cars. More
Be
short
careful
tracks.
what you wish
More
for,
short
right?
tracks. More short tracks. More
Mhm.
short tracks. And the more short tracks we get, the worse the racing is. So hopefully they can fix this thing before they have to bring back Kentucky. Hey, maybe they
Yeah,
just
and
bring back Kentucky.
I think it's funny because people are clamoring for, and I mean, not disrespecting the fairgrounds. I would love to see them go back to the fairgrounds, but the fairgrounds in North Wilkesboro, the way the cars run right now, that would be the worst thing you could do. North Wilkesboro, it was cool to be back there. That race was atrocious. That race was so awful. And so,
Blasphemy.
what that?
Blasphemy.
I
How
know.
dare you
But
speak ill of North Wilkesboro?
well, no. Of the racing with the next gen car, not of the track, they did a great job, and it was really cool to be back there. But the racing was not good. And as Dale Jr. said, though, you can't blame the track. And don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I don't really see adding a bunch more short tracks until we get this fixed. Because it would make more sense at this point to go back to Kentucky, because Kentucky would probably be a pretty darn good race right now.
It absolutely would. There's no question in my mind. Oh man, that's let's talk a little bit about this week at Michigan. What are we expecting?
Probably a pretty good race because it's a bigger track. I expect to see, there's some guys that really would love to get a win to take some of the pressure off. Talked to Michael McDowell this week. Michigan's not necessarily a track that he's targeting. He's looking more at the road courses, but Bubba Wallace would like nothing more than to win this week, so we don't have to worry about points.
Kevin
Toyotas
Harvick
are
won it last
usually
year.
pretty good there. The Fords are usually really good there. It's generally not a great track for the Chevys, but look, this is a track where bragging rights for the manufacturers are everything, because Ford and Chevy are headquartered there. So they want to win in Detroit. And so, Michael told me everybody brings their best car, whatever car they think is their best car, whichever they think is the fastest, is the raciest, can pass the best, whatever that is, whatever they're looking for, they bring the best one there. So I think it could be really exciting, because especially for like a Bubba Wallace or maybe like a Daniel Suarez, this could be their last chance. They may feel like to get a win. Although Daniel's pretty good on the road courses, I guess specifically Bubba and maybe like Alex Bowman, their last chance to get a win before we hit the string of road courses in Daytona, where you don't want to be going into that needing to win.
That makes a lot of sense. And of course, sitting outside the playoffs right now, but always a great road course driver, is Chase Elliott. So he's looking to get a win on one of those road courses for sure. But also in that Chevy, they're going to want to win in Detroit if they can. This is going to be a really interesting race, one of the better races, because like you said, there are 3 or 4 drivers who feel like they need to win, and so the expectation is they're going to drive hard to try and get that. So and like I said, Kevin Harvick won it last year, so that's obviously not, he's a guy who needs a win to get in. So it's going to be fun, Heather.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think that Kevin would like to win just to kind of quell the fears about how bad Stuart Haas has been this year. If he can get a win, I think that will, make him feel a little bit better. He's probably going to get in the playoffs, but I think that would make him feel better going into the playoffs.
All right.
There you go.
Heather Williams, WCYB TV. We appreciate it, as always. Regular guest here on Main Street
Hang on
Sports.
just a
What
second.
you got?
Where were you?
Yeah, what are you working on? What do we need to look out for?
Yeah.
Well, right, I was at a school called Holston High School, which is near Damascus, off the Appalachian Trail, and there's no cell service out there. I'm now sitting in the parking lot of Patrick Henry High School, where the coaches just text me, "When are you getting here?" So.
Oh, well, I guess you need to tell them now and get on in there. So you're on the Virginia side of the border then?
I am on the Virginia side. We've previewed all but just a couple of our Tennessee schools. We've already knocked them out.
Now, do they both start the same week? Or does
No,
Virginia
you just
start
start
a
a
week
week
later?
after Tennessee.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Man, that working on a border like that's got to be crazy. I don't envy you at all, but have fun with that, and we appreciate you taking some time. Tell the coaches at Patrick Henry High School we said hey.
We appreciate your time.
Will do. We'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Thanks, Heather.
Yeah, as long as it took me to learn Tennessee's playoffs and
Tennessee's
all the things that go along with that from Alabama.
Back in another life, I applied for a couple of different high school opportunities outside the state, and I thought, I'm not trying to learn another high school system.
It's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah. So
I mean, it was a completely different world. It took me 3 years to figure out the basketball stuff. And baseball, just forget it.
Yeah. You know what? Having worked with you, there's still some stuff you hadn't figured out.
But anyway. There's no question. I'm like, look, I'm still calling folks and asking questions. Like, hold on, what do you mean?
Are you serious right now?
This is how it works.
Yeah.
The best thing about Alabama is that every playoff system is the exact same. It's all 64 teams, and they play for a championship in 6 classes. Then you got 32 in Class 7, and that's it.
That's kind of crazy.
That's the easy. It's all the same.
If you know one system, you know them all.
So,
yeah. Wow.
Let's take a break and talk baseball right after this on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Still to come, C.L. Brown and hopefully Randy Peterson on Main Street Sports Today.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think about calling for a ride. Nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that can happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone.
There is nothing better than drinking an ice-cold beverage while taking in a Nashville Sounds baseball game. Hi, I'm Stephanie Miller with Mornings on Main Street. The Nashville Sounds and Main Street Media Television have teamed up to promote Sunday Family Fun Day here at First Horizon Park, each Sunday home game. Just go to your favorite Main Street Media website and click on Sounds Main Street Media Day banner to register to win free tickets. And then we'll see you here at the ballpark.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Y'all, I'm serious right now. They have a...
Let your child play like the pros this fall season and join Titans Flag Football in their NFL Flag Football League. Titans Flag Football is no contact, easy to learn, convenient with teams meeting once per week for practices and games on Sundays. And we cannot forget, it's ridiculously fun. Teams are co-ed with ages from pre-K through 8th grade in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Visit TitansFlagFootball.com and sign up before registration closes on September 4th. Let's play together and win together this fall season with Titans Flag Football.
Y'all, I'm serious right now. They have a dragon here. I saw it. Wait, no, they don't. There's no such thing as dragons. I swear, I saw it. It had huge claws. Get out of here. It had eyes as big as the moon. Come on, I'll show you. Wait up. Do you hear that? We're almost there. Whoa! I told you so. That is a dragon.
August 2nd, 1959, Bill Bruton hit a pair of 3-run triples and Lou Burdett went the distance as Milwaukee defeated visiting St. Louis 11-5 and salvaged a split of a doubleheader. Bruton tripled with the bags jammed in both the first and the sixth, with Felix Mantilla adding a 3-run homer in the fifth as Burdett scattered 9 hits and allowed 3 earned runs in the win, following the Cardinals' 4-3 victory in the early matchup. That was this day in Braves history.
Mo, before we get to the Braves, apparently this FSU board meeting
breaking news, huh?
is just approving a bunch of budget stuff, and the speculation around item 4, Seminole Boosters Incorporated loan, is around buying a plane. Tired, plane tracking season. Wired, plane buying season. This is nuts. I mean, if dude went on that podcast to make us watch this budget meeting, that's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, there's people cussing right now.
Oh,
you need to tell me that this is what we're going to talk about?
Oh man, this is fantastic.
Better them than us.
We, of course, are not satisfied with our current situation. We love the ACC. We love our partners at ESPN, FSU President Rick McCullough via Nicole Auerbach. Our goal would be to continue to stay in the ACC, but staying in the ACC under the current situation is hard for us to figure out how to remain competitive unless there was a major change in the revenue distribution within the conference. We've explored every possible option that you can imagine. We continue to explore all of those options. Braves win.
Braves win. Braves win.
And it's pretty big considering losing that opener of the
4-1
series to and yeah, the offense was just not there in that opener, but it certainly got there by the end of the series.
I mean, after getting beat 4-1 on Monday night, they bounced back with a 5-1 victory last night and won today 12-5. So what's that, 17-6? I mean, this offense, I don't know what there is to say about it that has not already been said, other than the fact that they now have 9 guys with double-digit home runs, and one of the guys that has not reached double digits has 9. And one of those 9 is the longest of the year by a Brave.
Acuna had a great game. Michael Harris had a great game. just a all-around great performance. And up until the middle of the 6th inning, pretty good day from Yanni Chirinos.
Yeah. I think they just wanted to try to get him through 6 and just take another inning off of the bullpen, and couldn't quite get him there. And then Tonkin had a little hiccup, but again, they had some room to work.
Apparently the defense did too.
Mhm.
Apparently the defense had a little hiccup too.
Yeah.
So there's that.
But 6 home runs last night and today.
That's unreal. It really is. Max Fried is scheduled to go Friday, by the way, against
Has
Kyle
that been
Hendricks.
announced? Has there been an announcement made? Has Brad Hand been activated yet? Is he there?
You know, it's a great question. No.
I don't
have
believe
not
he
seen
is.
an activation for Brad Hand to this point.
Because I mean, I'm one. You know, they've got some decisions they're going to have to make with that bullpen. Again, Chavez is going to come back at some point. Dylan Lee is going to come back at some point. And Hand, you didn't trade for this guy to not activate him.
Kyle Wright's going to come back at some point, which is probably going to push another pitcher out.
Well, I'm looking more at this bullpen situation than anything.
You're still going to push a pitcher out, and it's probably going to be a bullpen arm because there's no
I
starting
don't know
pitchers up.
how many starters do they have on the roster?
That's what I'm saying. To make room, you're going to have to push somebody out. I mean, it's
a great job. It's a great problem to have, by the way.
It is a great problem to have, but you got to make the right move. And it may just depend on who's got options.
I feel like, as I texted you earlier today, I feel like Tonkin and Ben Heller are going to be the odd guys out when it's all done. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, so Brad Hand is on the roster, and Dice Bell Hernandez went on the 15-day IL with a right forearm strain, joining 3 other Atlanta relievers sidelined with various ailments, according to AP.com, APnews.com. So, Fried has not officially been announced, but it is expected that he's going to start Friday.
Well, it's by all indications, it's going to be Max Fried. Bryce Elder on Saturday, Morton on Sunday against the Chicago Cubs, which obviously has been playing well of late, scoring 20 runs against the Reds last night. 2-0.
A 20 twin.
It's a little for my cataracts.
It's Park.
Golly. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a really interesting situation the Braves find themselves in with this bullpen, because again, you're going to have to make the right moves, and not every. I mean, you've got some tough decisions ahead. Does Jesse Chavez, does he make that roster? As good as he was pitching, he probably should have been an all-star. How long can you feel like Jesse Chavez gives you a real good innings in the postseason? To me, I think he's probably among your best options.
No question.
But only in Atlanta. This guy he's put any other uniform on him, and he's just
he ain't gonna be wearing no other uniform though. So.
Right. So it's almost as if, you kind of have to pretend like those other numbers don't exist.
They don't.
And just look at what he's done the last 2 years in Atlanta. 3 years, I guess.
Oh, by the way, Milwaukee All-Star closer Devin Williams blew the save in Washington a little bit ago as the Nats come back for a 3-2 victory.
The Brewers cannot get out of the NL East quick enough.
Yeah.
I mean, we broke the Brewers. Contreras, Santana, Adames, and Canha all went over. A combined 0 for 15.
Canha.
Yeah.
Who they got from the Mets? The Mets in full sell mode. Oh.
Sal Frelick also 0 for 1, but he came in as a pinch hitter.
Well, that was their mistake. They should have
Should have
started
just
it.
started it.
Yeah. Where is the piece that I sent you yesterday? Oh. CBSSports.com had a trade deadline article wrap up, and after Max Scherzer was traded to the Rangers, he had some comments that will certainly make waves about his now former team. Scherzer opened up about conversations he had with Mets brass before he was dealt over the weekend, saying the club is looking forward to 25 or 26 and views 24 as a rebuilding year. I talked to Billy, Scherzer told The Athletic, that's Billy Epler, I think he's the GM for the Mets. I was like, okay, are we reloading for 2024? He said, no, we're not. Basically, our vision now is for 25, 26, 25 at the earliest, more like 26. We're going to be making trades around that. Continues Scherzer. I was like, so the team is not going to be pursuing free agents this offseason or assemble a team that can compete for a World Series next year? He said, no, we're not going to be signing the upper echelon guys. We're going to be on the smaller deals within free agency. 2024 is looking like a rebuilding year.
And of course, they'll come out and compete for the East next year or something.
I don't know,
That'll be
man.
the way that's just how our luck works.
I'm gonna pull a John Morant. We're good in the East.
I want to point this out because you did mention Devin Williams, I guess technically did blow the save, but they lost on an error. He gave up no earned runs.
Oof. Man.
Didn't get an out, but did not give up an earned run. Errors with an S.
Plural. More than one. The Brewers took their skillets into the field, huh?
It was apparently a throwing error from Andrew Monasterio.
Oh, hate that dick sound.
Yeah.
Is he playing third?
I think so. So that's
unfortunate.
That's unfortunate for Devin. Poor, Devin kind of gets a little bit of the brunt there, but
the Central is wild. I mean, as you talked
Bryce
about,
Wilson, by the way, pitched as a reliever in that game.
Bryce Wilson pitched as a reliever in one of the Braves games this weekend. It must have been Friday, I think, because it wasn't either of the games I was at, I don't believe.
Yeah, it was Friday.
Yeah.
He gave up 4 runs on 5 hits, 2 home runs.
Well, I mean, it's the Braves.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
69-37 they are now, with an 11.5 game lead over the Phillies, 13 over the Marlins. Mets 19 back. In the Central, the Brewers now a game back of the Reds. Cubs have closed to within 4 games after that 20-9 win last night. Just a game over 500 though. So,
wanted to mention this before we get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Major League Baseball, and I've got this screenshot, so let me just go ahead and get it.
Mm-hmm. Got to do that to remember stuff.
MLB_PR tweets on Sunday that Saturday's average crowd of 38,858 marks MLB's highest Saturday in 10 years.
Wow.
It was.
I was one of those.
9 of Saturday's games attracted 40,000 plus. 11 11 of Saturday's hosted 35,000 plus. And it's essentially someone, and I don't know about, I don't have that one screenshot, but someone retweeted that this is the highest average season since the home run chase. And as much grief as the pitch clock was given, I think to some degree,
it's got a lot to do with it.
People are paying attention. And
The
said,
pitch
hey,
clock has not been nearly as invasive as I had anticipated prior to the season.
well, we've had the conversation about injuries, and I completely understand that conversation. But it hasn't affected games as much as some people may have thought it would.
Right. Right.
And the later we get into the season, the less it affects.
Yeah. I mean, every now and then you'll see a violation in what feels like kind of a key situation.
Could be worse. You could balk your way to a loss like the Mets did.
Mets gonna Met. Again, congrats to Framber Valdez.
How about that?
Who, after posting a 7.29 earned run average in July.
Dude had been getting shelled for a month.
Nobody was more glad to see this calendar flip than Valdez, who blanked Cleveland 2-0 on a 93 pitch no-hitter.
That's a Maddox. Hey?
Issued a fifth inning walk, which was later erased by a double play. So he faced the minimum.
God, that's brutal.
One walk away from a perfect game. I guess you don't want to think about it that way if you're Framber, but there it is. Former Nashville Sounds catcher Martin Maldonado was on the catching end of that no-hitter. That was the third of his career.
Wow.
I think only 2 catchers have caught more no-hitters than, like I said, the former Nashville Sounds backstop. And I think Jason Varitek was one of those.
Varitek and Carlos Ruiz. Of the Phillies. Varitek caught no-hitters for Nomo, Derek Lowe, Clay Buchholz, and John Lester. So that's just 4. Now, I don't know how many that is. He also caught a rain-shortened 5-inning unofficial no-hitter for Devern Hansack. Ruiz caught 2 for Roy Halladay, including a perfect game.
That ain't bad.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Cole Hamels and a combined no-hitter from Hamels, Jake Dykman, Ken Giles, and Jonathan Papelbon.
So they've each caught 4, and Maldonado's caught 3.
Before MLB redefined no-hitter, Ray Schalk had long held the record of catching 4 no-hitters, but his first 9-inning no-hitter ended with a hit in the 10th inning.
Is that who was he catching? Does it say?
No.
Oh, okay. Ray Schalk.
Yeah, he was with the White Sox apparently. So, anyway,
that's wild.
Wild it is. 5
and wacky.
So, Varitek and Carlos Ruiz with 4 each.
Yeah.
And now Maldonado with 3, right on their heels, calling great games. We've got C.L. Brown coming up here in a minute, but former Florida State quarterback Drew Weatherford. It's not a matter of if we leave, in my opinion. It's a matter of who and when we leave. Not everyone may agree, but I feel strongly about it. Florida State trustee Drew Weatherford also, by the way. Not just former quarterback, but also trustee.
I think he may be a little bit more impactful as a member of the Board of Trustees because I don't remember that name. So, just for what that's worth.
Man, I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. This is so crazy. It's essentially Florida State's got to decide whether or not they trust themselves. Do we trust our lawyers enough to say we're leaving? So, Let's take a break. C.L. Brown is scheduled to join us. He is not in yet, but I'm sure he will be in the next couple minutes. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be right back after this.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton here with you on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. And what a Wild and Wacky Wednesday it has been. And we are now going to go to the phone lines where C.L. Brown is standing by to talk to us a little bit about the Atlantic Coast Conference and their upcoming football season. One day, CL, I was telling Mo earlier, one day, CL, we'll have you on to talk about some hoops, since that is your Twitter handle at CL Brown Hoops. But for now, it's horse racing and football. But we appreciate you being well-rounded and taking that time with us.
Hey, anytime. I try and dabble in everything. So,
Hey, we appreciate it. I was just curious. We've got a picture of you on our title card with a bow tie looking dapper. I'm thinking you are probably not sporting a bow tie today.
I am not. It is too hot for bow ties right now. Yeah. Generally, I wait till game days. You know, this is all practice now. I get serious on the game days.
Practice.
CL, obviously, when we reached out to you, we were wanting to talk a little Atlantic Coast Conference football. but we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you what you are hearing, if anything, regarding this Florida State potential departure from the conference. What all is going on with that from where you're at?
I'm not really hearing anything in terms of actual movement. My opinion is that it's just Florida State doing more posturing. And I mean, I think they could get to a point where the ACC is just like, leave, but we're still going to keep this money. You know what I'm saying? The grant of rights, the teams, the schools that have been looking to leave possibly, including Florida State, Clemson, Miami, they've looked into the grant of rights. Like this isn't like something that's just happened over the past week. This has been more like a year plus in the making, of schools that have tried to crack this code and look for a loophole and look for a way they can sue to get out of it. And nobody has done it yet. So I unless they come up with some, kind of off the wall idea that they take to court and just try and make it stick, to get out of it. I really don't see, you're talking about 14 schools, the 7 that got together, and kind of met and it ended up forcing the conference to come up with a pay scale that rewards winning, just to try and make some kind of dent in what they're losing the revenue, the revenue races against the Big Ten and the SEC. But, I mean, it's seems to me that it's pretty ironclad that the grant of rights is keeping this league together. And, Florida State, they're like a child at this point, just kind of kicking and screaming. For what? I don't know, like it'd be different if they'd been to the playoffs the last 5 years and, and they were scared they're getting left behind because of the revenue differential. But they haven't even been great. They hadn't been the Florida State of the 90s over the past basically decade. So, get your weight up first, Florida State, and then let's talk about where you're going to leave to. And that's the other thing about leaving. Florida, I'm sure, would contest in the SEC Florida State joining the league. Like it's not just like the SEC has this open invitation to them, and the Big Ten certainly does it. So what are you doing? That's just kind of my stance on it. What are you doing, Florida State?
That's good to hear, because we've been thinking this whole time that the grant of rights was pretty ironclad, and that was keeping the ACC content, and there was nothing that was going to make much of a change.
If not content, certainly intact.
Yeah, I mean, so now hearing that is likely the case, feel a little bit better about what we've said on this show up to this point. So,
C.L. Brown of the Louisville Courier-Journal, joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. As we continue our look around college football, conference by conference, preseason poll has Clemson, surprise, surprise, at number 1. Florida State, number 2. North Carolina, NC State, and Miami rounding out the top 5 in the 14-team conference. CL, what's your read on the ACC heading into the 23 season?
Yeah, I think that is I forgot to turn my ballot in. A little bit of secret there, but I probably would have had 1, 2, 3 the same order, with Clemson winning. To me, until somebody actually knocks Clemson off, I'm going to go based on their track record and what they've done. Florida State certainly took a big step last year towards getting back to where we're used to seeing them. And, with some of the transfers they got in and everything, I think they're solid. as a number 2 and potentially chasing Clemson. And Carolina with Drake May, who's also voted the preseason player of the year. I'm expecting him to have a great season, and I think Matt Brown really geared up. It's funny how quickly he changed his tune, and a lot of coaches have, with the transfer portal, because initially Matt Brown's philosophy with it was he was only going to get essentially a few kids, somebody who he thought he could bring in and they could be a starter. He didn't want to just get somebody for depth or, get somebody who would basically make his current team and current starters think that he's over recruiting in their position. But that all changed, in the past 2 years. And so this year he was going out to try and make them better, period. Regardless of who he had returning, if there was somebody out there who he thought was going to benefit this team, then he went and got him. So I think they are geared up to have a good year. Their schedule doesn't help them much. They close out, especially the way they close out, playing Duke, which is a rivalry game, emotional game. And I know people only think of the basketball aspect of it, but it is in football too. Then they have at Clemson, and then they close at NC State, another rivalry, another emotional game. So that's like 3 weeks in a row where they really have to be sharp mentally and, kind of get up for these games. And who knows if they can do that 3 weeks in a row without having some kind of a letdown. But I also think a dark horse in the race, since they dropped divisions in the ACC this year, it's just going to be, one big standing, is Louisville. And Louisville was picked 8th in the league, but they have a very favorable schedule. They don't play any of those top 3 teams. They don't play Clemson. They don't play Florida State, which in the old Atlantic Division setup, they would play every year. And this year, they won't play North Carolina at all. So they play the 5 teams in the ACC that didn't make a bowl last year, and so their toughest games, they are going to play at NC State and at Pitt. And I believe they also play at Miami. Those road games will be their toughest games, but they have a favorable schedule, and who knows, they could end up, they could end up in that ACC championship game in Charlotte come December.
I'm looking at their schedule. Like you said, Georgia Tech in Atlanta to open, at home against Boston College, at NC State. They've got Notre Dame in Louisville. Go to Pittsburgh. They've got Duke, Virginia Tech, and Virginia at home, and they finish at Miami in conference play, like you said. So, I'm sorry. They finish against Kentucky, but their last ACC game is at Miami. So that's – if they were to win an ACC championship against that schedule, they've almost got to put an asterisk next to it, don't they? I mean,
hey, you play the games that's in front of you. They didn't make the schedule.
They didn't. All they did was play. And I'm glad you brought Louisville up. Obviously, CL, you be in there, and I think you're at practice right now. But obviously, there's a lot of buzz around this program finally bringing Jeff Brom home.
Yeah. I wrote the column yesterday that this is the first time that Louisville can believe in their coach from day one. It's not a stepping stone job for him. If he has success, he's not looking for the quick exit, the first major, another big time program that offers. When he's talking about building this program and the vision for his program, you can believe in it, and you can believe in it long term because, this is home for him. Now, that's not to say if he has success here at some point, he might seek another challenge. That certainly could happen. But just from day one, unlike, any other coaches that they've had before, maybe going back to Snellenberger, that, he's in it for the long haul, and he's in it for the right reasons here. So he's got a lot of support. It was kind of funny. He talked at the ACC Media Day about kind of the pressure that comes with that. And that's something that maybe I didn't really think about beforehand, but he's saying from his perspective, he wants to make all of these people that support him in the program, he's trying to make them happy. And the only way you do that is by winning games. So he's putting a lot of pressure on himself being back here to try and get the program back to where they feel like it should be.
CL, we, as we looked at the ACC last year about this time, we talked with Wes Durham, and he discussed the state of quarterbacking across the conference and how great that position was throughout the league. I'm not sure that it necessarily enjoys that status this time around. You've got Jordan Travis at Florida State. You've got Drake May, like you said, in North Carolina. But aside from that, who would you say are the top QB1s in this league? And where does Klubnik fit on that list?
I'm not totally convinced of Klubnik and how successful he may be. I covered the game at the ACC Championship when he came in after I think DJU had 2 series before he got replaced. And I think part of the success he had was that, Carolina was just caught off guard and they put all their preparation in tendencies that DJU had. And, I think a lot of times when backup quarterbacks come in, they can have that kind of success. But I still kind of got a wait and see attitude with him and how he'll perform. I do think, though, that two transfers within the conference could end up having big years. There's Brennan Armstrong, who left Virginia and now is at NC State. Definitely has more weapons than he had at Virginia. He has a better defense, which will put him in better positions. I just think I saw him play at Virginia a number of times, and, he's got some intangibles. He's got great mobility. He can deliver the ball. I think he's due to have a breakout year. And I also think Bill Jerkovic who transferred from Boston College and is now at Pitt, kind of the same situation. He'll be surrounded by a better offense altogether, although he was throwing to Zay Flowers, and who was, one of the top receivers in the ACC the past couple of years. But he's just in a better situation in Pittsburgh, and I think he'll thrive there more so than he did at Boston College, where he kind of had to shoulder the load of the offense, and it was a bit overwhelming for him. But, Narduzzi's going to protect him with the run game. They always have a strong run game at Pitt, and, he won't have to throw for 300 yards every game for them to win. They'll be in positions to win with him just managing the game. So I think he'll have a lot of success there as well.
Wake picked 9th. Is that?
Oh, and I can't forget my guy at Duke, Riley Leonard.
I was about to ask, but
yeah.
I mean, a heck of a year last year, 3,000 yards.
Football. Let's be honest. It's easy to look past Duke football, but they legitimately have a lot of returners, and I think he'll also be in that upper echelon when we're talking about quarterback play.
Wake Forest picked 9th. Is that as simple as, Sam Hartman being gone, or were they doing it with smoke and mirrors last year?
I think Wake Forest is always overlooked just because people don't understand how they do it, But Dave Clawson has a system there, and more often than not, it's proven to work for him. But they're just not a program that has players on paper that you look at as this guy is a star and he can do X, Y, Z. They got guys there that they end up developing and who become good players, but you don't see it or expect it initially. And then if you have a player like Sam Hartman, who transferred to Notre Dame, leave, then the expectations is, oh, well, Wake Forest just, got the wind knocked out of their sail. Well, it wouldn't surprise me to see them, back competing in the top half of the league. I don't expect them to be in the title game or anything like that. But, I don't see them as the 9th team in the league either.
It's interesting because I think that they are a team that is I think that everyone's giving them a win over Vanderbilt, and I don't know that that's necessarily a smart play.
Yeah.
A given. Yeah, it's not nearly as given as everyone seems to be. So I'll be interested to see how Wake Forest handles this year because it could go one way or the other. It could go really bad or really good.
Yeah.
So C.L. Brown of the Louisville Courier-Journal joining us here on Main Street Sports today. CL, thanks for taking time with us, man. We really appreciate it. I always look forward to talking to you and talking about ACC and hopefully the world of realignment doesn't hijack you.
Let's hope not. It's hijacking college sports, though, I tell you that much. But we'll see how it all shakes out.
No doubt. We're going to take a 1-minute break here. When we come back, Randy Peterson joins us from Des Moines, the Des Moines Register. So stick around here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. We'll be right back after this quick message.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat.
She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio, too.
As do we.
And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every main street in Middle Tennessee, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton here with you on this wild and wacky Wednesday.
And wacky.
And super glad to be with you guys as we are getting ready to talk a little bit. We're going to go to the Big 12 here as Iowa State is in a mell of a hess, as my grandmother would say.
Mm-hmm.
And to talk a little bit about it is the Des Moines Register's Randy Peterson joins us now. Randy, thanks for taking time with us.
Thanks, guys. Mo, it's great to see you again.
It's good to see you, man. The last time we saw each other, we were probably in either a press box at Greer Stadium or at Iowa there. But
yeah, no, exactly. Golly, darn. You look good, dude.
Thanks. You too. Hey, you were kind of at ground zero of this Iowa State situation. Great stuff. Bring folks that may not know what's going on up to speed on what's going on.
Well, in early May, Iowa State and Iowa almost simultaneously, within 10 minutes of each other, emailed a press release saying that at Iowa, X number of student athletes were being investigated for allegedly betting. At Iowa State, same thing. They just changed the numbers a little bit. Didn't have as many who were alleged to be gambling. And so that got us all, we were scouring everything, sending open records to every agency on the planet. And so far, we didn't get anything. We didn't get anything until yesterday. The Story County, which is where Iowa State is located, I'd been persistent with the Story County attorney for weeks, months, at least twice a week, asking, "Is there any update? Is there any update?" And it got to the point where I don't think I was annoying, but they knew it was coming. But yesterday at roughly, I don't know, 4:35 Central Time, almost the 5 o'clock news dump, the dreaded 5 o'clock news dump. We got an email, or I got an email from the Story County attorney, and the Story County attorney said that they gave me the 4 affidavits, that's what you want to call it, of the Iowa State athletes who were involved, including one of them, a former athlete, N.A. Wazarike, who plays in the NFL, or he did. And it detailed everything that they allegedly did, and then they finally released the whole thing. They finally became national, I don't know, 20 minutes or so later. So that's kind of where we are. The headliner, so to speak, is quarterback Hunter Deckers. He replaced Brock Purdy. And last year he started every game. He wasn't great. Iowa State's offense was horrendous. It cost him the offensive coordinator. At any rate, the starting quarterback from a team that went 4-8, including 1-8 in the Big 12, is gone. Is alleged to have bet not only on games illegally, according to the NCAA, but on games in which Iowa State played. And that includes a game or two in which he was on the roster when Brock Purdy was a quarterback. Hunter Deckers didn't get in that game. But to me, that's the most egregious thing. If you're betting on a game in which you're either played or you're on your team, that's pretty egregious to me. So the guess around here is that unless he's got a very good lawyer, he very much could be done with his Iowa State career at least. So, and they got allegedly a backup offensive lineman was busted. A wrestler, a Big 12 champion wrestler, got it, and as did N.A. Wazarike, the Broncos. I'm sorry, guy. The Broncos defensive tackle
has been since suspended.
He was suspended before that from the
30 bets on his NFL team.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, he was said to have betted on Iowa State. So it's a hot mess. It's up here. Not only at Iowa State, but at Iowa. Found out today that an Iowa backup place kicker was betting on his own games, for example. So
okay, but let's be honest. One of his bets was on the under.
Here you go.
The Skyhawk game, and that's
I knew this
responsibility.
was coming. I knew this was coming.
That is betting responsibly right there. I don't care. That's just a good bet. You can't be mad.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chris that said that. It wasn't Mo or it wasn't Randy.
Thank you, Randy. Thank you for clearing me on that. Yes. Yeah, but wow. Hot mess. I mean, that pretty well wraps it up.
And we've got media day on Friday.
Oh,
we've got media day at 10:30 in the morning Friday. How do you think that's going to go?
Timing is everything. Isn't it?
Oh, big time. Oh, big time. I love it.
Yeah, and none of these kids will be there, right?
Right. Yes, we've already been told that they're going to hand select 20 or so players, which they did the same thing last year when there was nothing going on. But years before that, we've got every player on the team. So they're going to hand select some players for Friday and go from there, because they're not going to want to have anybody there that eventually could end up suspended or whatever.
Now, in the case of Hunter Deckers, he's not just facing the end of his Iowa State football career. He's facing criminal charges for tampering with evidence, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what they did, most of the guys, most of the athletes were betting through we're using somebody else's cell phone account or using somebody else's account. So yeah, that wasn't that, and that's how. And they were doing it. Now get this, guys. They were doing it in a place that set off the bells and whistles for the respective draft apps or drafting apps, gambling app, betting apps. They were doing it in a place that's off limits to the general public. Gee, what could that be? Locker room, dining area where all the athletes eat, academic center, practice field, indoor practice facility, training room. I mean, yeah. So that's what set off the alarms, and that was all included in the affidavits. So that set off the alarms that triggered an investigation, and boom, that's kind of where we are right now.
Randy Peterson of the Des Moines Register joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Randy, we've heard of other betting situations where athletes were not betting on their sport, were not betting on their team, and it's still been an issue. And I think those situations are a little harder for people to understand because, as invasive as sports gambling has become here over the last 5 years or so, if it's not something that they're directly involved in or that they would have direct knowledge of, it's kind of tough to understand what the issue is with it. That's not the situation here.
Situation is that they broke the NCAA rules, and that they bet on their own games. But take that away from it for a minute. The fact that the NCAA rules are some people tried to tell me, including Iowa State wrestling coach Kevin Dressler, many times said publicly the NCAA rules are archaic. You've got people all over campus betting on games, and you're treating your athletes special. Well, gee, coach, athletes are special, but yeah. So that's where this comes in. People cannot understand why normal students, it's okay, but it's not okay for the athletes. And what we're seeing unfold over the last, 24 hours now, is we're finding out why that's not okay for the athletes, because you're also, by the way, you're betting on your own team. And like Chris accurately pointed out, that the Iowa backup place kicker was betting the under, and he did it on a game in which he did not play. And it really didn't take a whole lot of inside information to know that Iowa's offense hasn't been the greatest. All you have to do is look at the statistics.
45 points was a ridiculous number set by the books. I don't even know.
And they only got 44, so they got the under.
So it hit. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, smart kid. Smart.
Allegedly.
There we go. What is Iowa State's next move?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mo. What Iowa State does is they go to the backup quarterback, who is Rocco Becht. He's a redshirt sophomore. Campbell has told me since mid-spring that Rocco Becht has the quote unquote it factor, which to me, and I asked him about this. I said, define the word it. What's that mean? And he didn't exactly say it, but he led me to believe that whatever it was, 2018, Brock Purdy coming off the bench as a true freshman and thrashing Oklahoma State at Oklahoma State, 380 some yards, multiple touchdown passes. And he didn't ever miss a game from then on. That's what I understood to be quote unquote the it factor. And I asked Campbell about that. And Campbell said, yeah, very similar. So maybe this is if you're an Iowa State fan, maybe this could be a silver lining, because like I said, nobody said that Hunter Deckers was going to be the starter anyway. I presumed that he would have started fall camp as the starter, but he wasn't great last year. So they'll go to Rocco Becht, And by the way, Hunter Decker's in his statement yesterday through the lawyer said that he's taking fall camp off to concentrate on other things, including his studies. So we can pretty much rule him out for fall. So they'll go to Rocco Becht, and then behind him will be J.J. Cole, whose dad, Jamie Cole, kicked for Iowa State a long time ago, and who is Iowa State's highest ranked, if you believe recruiting rankings, quarterback that Campbell's recruited. So, and he's 6'7" kid. He's strong. He's strapping. So he's got the body right now to play. And plus, he entered Iowa State in the spring. So he had a full spring ball. He's worked out in the weight room with all the guys. He's got to know the guys. So I think that transition will be, in that respect, as far as his body is concerned, that's going to be pretty good. Because like I said, he's very sturdy right now anyway, 6'7", 240 or so. It's just a matter of getting used to playing at the college speed. Back a long time ago, I remember Monte Morris, who's the best point guard Iowa State ever had, and who's making a lot of money now in the NBA. I remember Monte's freshman year, his first year out of high school in Detroit or Romulus or someplace like that, I think. Monte wasn't all that great, but it took a while to get going. And Monte he'll have his jersey hanging in the rafters eventually with Jeff Grayer and Fred Hoiberg and some of those people at Hilton Coliseum. But so it's going to take JJ Cole some time, but it would not shock me if JJ Cole by midseason isn't actually fighting to be the starting quarterback, isn't actually in real competition. So that's kind of where they're going right there. And I have no idea what they're going to do with running backs. Iowa State starting running the starter, Jairell Brock. He's an injury. He's been injury prone. Backup Cartavius Norton. He's been injury prone. His backup Eli Sanders. Oh, he's been injury prone. Iowa State may have to resort to a true freshman running back, which in a year you're trying to bounce back from 4-8. John Haycock is one of the greatest defensive coordinators in the country, but my gosh, and his side of the ball is once again going to be the strongest part of the team. But my gosh, if they need to start scoring touchdowns too, I guess.
So none of the NCAA nor Iowa State has sanctioned anyone that's been involved in this to this point?
Not yet, no. To the best, as of an hour ago, they hadn't. No. No, and I think what they're doing is, and I don't know this, but I'm just guessing they're waiting for the NCAA, and we all know how NCAA investigations can go. Well, that could go towards the middle of the season, or not. I don't mean to interrupt you, but and if there's any suspicion, of some players who may have been eligible who may have been contending for playing time on the football team, I'd pretty much guarantee you that they're not going to play, because Iowa State's not going to, or anybody in the country wouldn't do this. They're not going to play players, excuse me, that could end up being ineligible, which could, if you win those games in which they played, could cause you to forfeit those games, which could lead to institutional control, which could lead to Lord knows what. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Iowa State's roster shapes up on September 2nd against a Northern Iowa team that Iowa State has trouble with quite often.
Yeah, but it's not just the NCAA investigating this thing. Like I said, the IRS is involved, because all of these guys are placing underage bets under other people's names, which means any winnings are taxed on whoever's name they placed it under.
It's a great point.
And so you get the IRS involved, somebody's getting shut down. So there are levels to this thing that we haven't even touched yet. And it's going to be one of the most
explosive.
Joe Kane thinks that Hunter Deckers is having a bad fall. That's all I'm saying. That's how bad this is. I mean, if Alvin Mack isn't involved by the end of this thing, I mean, this is straight out of the program.
Yeah.
It feels like, and it's not just Iowa State; it's also Iowa, as we've mentioned.
And it's other schools out there too in the country, but it's just
yeah.
Iowa and Iowa State got caught. What this is doing, in my estimation, guys, college football is not in a good spot right now, PR wise. Anyway, when you don't know who's going to be in your conference from day to day, and I haven't even had a chance to look at if Arizona did anything today or if Florida State did anything today. But you get my point. You don't know who's going to be in the conference from day to day. You don't know what athlete's going to be at what school from day to day because of the guideless transfer portal. And I have nothing against the transfer portal if it would have guidelines. You've got athletes primarily in football, but some basketball as well, getting millions of dollars to come to transfer. I mean, and now you've got fans sitting in the stands. If there's an errant play out there, fans in the stands who are paying big bucks to go to games are going to be wondering, was this errant play? Was this bad play intentional, or did this defensive back actually miss a tackle? And he tried. I mean, and I just use that as an example. So you're going to have all kinds of speculation about that from fans. So I think college football, at least for a while, is going to be stained quite a bit from this.
Certainly could be. I'm not surprised because college age kids make really dumb decisions all the time, like on a daily basis.
Sure.
But when you have a level of security in that student athletes have every opportunity to ask somebody if something is okay. And when you have that and your career's on the line, you've got, and they obviously knew it wasn't okay. They wouldn't have been doing it under someone else's name.
Right.
And so that's kind of where this is. And a lot of folks against sports betting said this is the kind of stuff that would happen. And
they're not wrong.
Clearly not wrong. So it's a mess, as you said, Randy, and thank you for kind of laying it out for us, because it certainly gives us a little more clarity, and congrats to you guys on obviously being the first to report it at the Des Moines Registry. You guys do a fantastic job, and we'll certainly be keeping an eye out for any more updates coming our way.
Thanks. And anytime I can see Mo's a good day. So, hey, we're good.
And I appreciate you, Randy. We'll talk.
All right. Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Thank you.
All right. I have scoured the internet, Mo, for the weirdest and wildest stories from across the world. And after we take a break, I'm going to give you at least two of them.
You got something weirder than what we just talked about?
That one is a weird one. That one certainly started it. But on the other side,
nice segue.
We've definitely got, and one of them is in sports. So stick around. You're going to want to check it out on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Be right back.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily, as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton. It is time for the weirdest and wildest news from across the world. I'm going to have to start with the one you sent me, Mo. And that is the simple fact that somebody somewhere really messed up. As
Goodness gracious.
NASA has apparently sent the wrong command to Voyager 2. And
Voyager 2, and since I sent this to you, I don't
Go
feel too
ahead.
bad about breaking in. Voyager 2, which had been exploring the universe since 1977. That's 45 years for
1977.
the mathematically challenged.
And
they lost a satellite. They didn't just lose it. It's currently 12 billion with a B miles from the planet.
But this morning at 4:01 Central Time, NASA has detected a signal from Voyager 2. Nearly 2 weeks of silence from the spacecraft. A series of ground antennas, part of the Deep Space Network. That doesn't, that boat's competent. Oh, we got the Deep Space Network. It's registered a carrier from Voyager 2 on Tuesday. It's a bit like hearing the spacecraft's heartbeat, it confirms. But it is 12.3 billion miles away from Earth and is one of only two man-made spacecrafts to have ever flown past Uranus. So
they have received a signal from it. So is it back under?
Apparently they know where it is. I don't know if they can get to it, but it's Voyager 1 is still broadcasting and transmitting data fine from a slightly farther vantage point of 15 billion miles away. So the command mix-up means that Voyager 2 was not able to transmit data back to Earth, but it also foreshadows the craft's inevitable end an estimated 3 years from now.
Someone at NASA accidentally sent the wrong command.
That's right.
And how would you like to be that person?
Commands are vetted. It's not like you're just typing away one day and say, all right, that looks good, send. Like, people look at it.
Multiple
there are
people
editors of this thing.
Yeah.
And nobody caught it. So everybody's getting fired.
How?
And they found out you're the guy and you're on vacation at the beach. You're just chilling. You see the notification come across your NPR app.
Yeah.
It says Voyager 2 lost. And at that point, you get a text message.
we need to see you. But I'm on vacation. We need to see you.
So long as they're not on furlough, right?
Yeah. There you go.
Monday.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to tell him over the phone.
We're going to need to see you guys. Come on in.
Yeah.
That's rough.
Cut that vacation a little short, and we'll get you started on the next one.
Yeah, you can head right back if you want to, but you might want to save some cash. Wow. NFL Detroit Lions head coach Dan Campbell has a request, but the NFL won't let him execute said request. Unfortunately, his caffeine consumption has been a topic of discussion over the years.
Okay.
And Campbell's always been the kind of guy who just kind of says what he wants to. He's just whatever comes to his mind. We're good. Apparently, he wanted a pet lion on the sideline, and the NFL said, thanks, but no thanks.
You know what? there was a time when a former Detroit Lions player could have accommodated that request for him because
they had one.
He had one, and he's not far from here.
Oh no, is there a line nearby that I need to know?
There might be. Franklin County football coach Tracy Hayworth at one time owned a lion. Now I don't remember if it was while he was playing for the Lions or thereafter, and I don't know if he still owns it or not. But there's that.
Lions owner Sheila Ford Hamp had no problem with it, but the league apparently frowns upon those types of things, Campbell said. I'm not going to point out Goodell on this. I'm just going to say that the league frowns on it. Let's just say that.
Having a lion on the sidelines is frowned upon in this establishment.
In this economy?
Yeah.
Why? What are we talking about here? Come on, man. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I thought that was a good one. Thought that was
Doesn't seem unreasonable on his part, really, especially considering it is Dan Campbell.
Listen, Dan Campbell will do some weird stuff, man. Do some weird stuff. Let's see here. I may not want to do this one because you're wanting to go to the steak sale or to the meat sale. But a Japanese hibachi steakhouse in Florida has been permanently closed after 7 customers tested positive for methamphetamine hours after eating at the restaurant earlier this month.
That's interesting.
Nikko Japanese Steakhouse and Hibachi Restaurant in Pace, which is 15 miles north of Pensacola, wrote in a Facebook post on July 7th they would permanently close the location after 10 years in business, blaming news reports and online social media posts about the allegations. Santa Rosa Sheriff's Office opened an investigation on July 10th after 2 groups of people who were seated together and ate at the restaurant reported feeling drugged or odd after eating at the restaurant the day before. Both members went to the hospital where 7 people tested positive for methamphetamines. A to-go container of food from the restaurant was tested and came back presumptive positive for meth. So, there you go. No arrests were made, no criminal charges filed, and they're closed. So
how do you pre-test your meat for
methamphetamines?
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any way to do it. So
you do suddenly have me a little concerned. I mean, it would be no fault of Piggly Wiggly, I don't think.
No,
but still,
what is it that Ryan said that he says, and guess what? Methamphetamines every time. Never fails. So there you go. That's the weirdest and wildest news from across the world in Florida, of course.
Of course.
Across the universe in this one.
We've expanded.
We've expanded.
12.3 billion miles.
And didn't even mention that, aliens were confirmed this week by Congress. So.
Oh yeah, there's that.
Oh, by the way, aliens exist.
And that didn't even scratch.
Wasn't even on the surface of this thing.
There you go.
That's what you get here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Tomorrow, Big 12. We've got big Texas reporter Eric C. Henry will join us, and that'll be a lot of fun. So come back with
It's
us.
also Coach's Corner, and we're efforting on a coach.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
All right. Appreciate you guys for hanging out with us. We'll see you tomorrow here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.